Hello everybody, I am here dutifully reporting for the first ever Q&A on my channel. Y'all asked me some Q's and I'm going to give you some A's, but I reserve the right to not answer every question. I said ask me anything. I didn't say I was necessarily going to answer everything, but I think I can answer most of your questions. Or I will do you the favor of answering the vast majority of the questions that you have asked. There are just a few that I'm going to opt out of. Okay, and that is my prerogative to do so. So let me go. Let's do this from. We'll go from newest to oldest. Okay. Mongi James asks, does Bono really annoy you? Yes, of course. How else could that question possibly be answered? Yes. Bono has annoyed me for decades, and I wish he would go away. I wish he would go to the, I don't know, the moon, some moon of Jupiter or something. I don't really, I guess, he doesn't really occupy my mind that much of the time. But yes, when I am forced to see him, when I'm forced to confront him, he does really annoy me. And I grew up with I grew up during U2's heyday. I remember, back in the 80s before, they became this huge thing. And he was always just a self-righteous dick. Even when people thought he was cool. And then somehow, like around the Joshua Tree, or Achtung Baby, or something, somewhere around that era, it became a sort of consensus emerged that Bono sucks, and I wholeheartedly agree. Okay. Why did Europe adopt Christianity, foreign religion, 2,000 years ago from the Middle East? It's the world's first new world order. Is Christianity too weak to defeat our enemies? Okay. I'm not going to answer the first two questions you asked there, as to why it happened, or the loaded question about the New World Order thing. But is Christianity too weak to defeat our enemies? I get so sick of this variation of question, or this kind of assertion. From people on the right, from people on the far right, who think that, that Christianity has just has made the West weak, and that's why we're dying right now. That's why we're dissolving into degeneracy, and that's why we're being swamped by immigrants and what have you. Look, for centuries, Christianity was the state religion of every nation state in the Western world. For every constabulary, I guess before the age of the nation state, whatever came before that. For centuries, Christianity was the in whatever variation, it was, everybody was Catholic at some point, and then at some point, the Protestant Reformation happened, and I'm not going to get into the Protestantism versus Catholicism right now, or Catholicism versus Orthodoxy right now. But I'm just if you would just stick with me when I'm making the point about Christianity was the religion, the ipso facto religion. That everywhere, and there was no multiculturalism, and there was no, we've just got to stop existing as a nation because Christianity commands us to do so. It's just so much bunk. It's so bogus. This whole line, and I would say this yes, I am a practicing Catholic, but I would say this, just as an agnostic. I would say this just as a general observer of history. There is no uh, um, there's nothing to back up this assertion that Christianity has made us weak. Uh, I mean, the West was non-paused. The West was based. The West was, whatever other kind of slang you want to insert. Again, for centuries and centuries and centuries on end. And Christianity some variation of Christianity was the state religion. And it was only during the 20th century when Christianity began to, when its power over the Western world began to wane. That was when you started to see these notions like the white man is evil and multiculturalism and degeneracy. That was when it all started to happen. It happened concurrently with the demise of Christianity in the West. It did not happen. The fall of the West, the ongoing fall of the West, did not take place because of Christianity. And this is true whether you're a Christian or not, whether you like Christianity or hate Christianity. It's just a fact. Okay. So don't come at me with that. It's just it's so tiresome. Okay. Is Seven and the Ragged Tiger your favorite Duran Duran album? No, I would say Rio. Rio is pretty much the accepted favorite. Okay. Jonathan, thank you for your invitation. Paul writes, you've got this whole blitzkrieg of questions here, and many of them are funny, but I'm skipping most of them. Will you analyze the lyrics of Howard Jones and the Pet Shop Boys? I might do that sometime. More like, I think maybe the Pet Shop Boys, West End Girls, is maybe worth analysis. I'm not sure if Howard Jones really calls for any kind of scrutiny. What's my favorite laundry detergent? I'm not partial to any particular detergent. Are you Colette's Dream Man? Well, only the readers of Colette's Dream Man would know what he means by that. And those who wonder, I encourage you to read it. You can still purchase it on Amazon. It's a novella that I wrote a few years ago that I'm quite proud of. So, self-promotion there. Are you a morning person? Two Pyramid asks. No, I'm not a morning person. Definitely a night person. Not like I used to be, but still, generally speaking, definitely nice. Definitely, I move better in the night. Okay. Are you, Two Pyramid also asks, are you at all Mandela affected? I've talked about this. I go into more detail about it in a video that's up that you can look at. Just type in my name and Mandela effect. But it's sort of a typical one. The Berenstain Bears. I do not accept that they have always been the Berenstain Bears. For a reason I'm not going to go into it here because I go into it in that video, but those who are just dismissive about the Mandela effect, and when I talk about the Mandela effect, I'm not claiming to know exactly what it's all about, but I know it isn't just millions of people misremembering things. that's just that kind of, dismissing it all with a wave of a hand of, oh, you just all misremembered it in exactly the same way. That's just, you've got to do better than that. But they don't think they have to, because they just think it's loony and stupid and whatever. And you're free to be skeptical about it. I mean, I think you should be skeptical about things, including the Mandela effect. But don't just be dismissive. I think dismissiveness indicates a lack of intellectual honesty. I've always felt that way. Okay. An artist rendition wants me to go back to having a P.O. box. Maybe I will. I'll keep y'all appraised on that. Colin Liddell. Hey, Colin. My partner in Thought Crime asks, have you been able to mathematically determine the simp factor, i.e. the degree to which a female YouTuber of equal talent in terms of content, verbal dexterity, and relevance exceeds the audience of a male YouTuber? Yes, I've been able to determine this with great exactitude. So picture me. So think of me. Okay, think of me, but as a woman. And first of all, if I'm a woman, and I'm generally all right looking, kind of plain, but not fat or and no huge blemishes on my face or anything like that. If I'm, say a 4 or 5, I think I would get approximately 5 times as many viewers as I have. If I'm me exactly as I am, but a woman who's plain. Okay. Now, if I'm me, but I'm fat or I have terrible disfiguring things going on in my physiognomy. I would say I'd still get probably twice as many viewers as I do now. Now, if I were a female but gorgeous, if I were a Brittany Pettibone, or Lauren Southern or somebody like that, easily 30 times as many viewers as I get now. Easily 30 to 50 times as many. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, because I would also get detractors. I'd get people saying, "Oh, you're just a bimbo. The only reason all these guys are watching you is because they want to screw you." So, there are advantages to being a average-looking male. You don't get as much attention, but in a way, you're afforded more credibility. Maybe maybe unfairly. So it works both ways. Okay, a couple more. Is there anything that dwarfs JQ as to what is going on? I believe so. Yes. I think the JQ is a worthwhile area of scrutiny, but I certainly don't think that it dwarfs everything else as to what is going on. As far as further thoughts about that, I think this is something I've spoken of before, but it always becomes just this sort of briar patch. That's one of the reasons why I dislike this topic, is because if you bring it up at all in the slightest way, then it becomes all that some people want to talk about, and it's just kind of a bore to me. Okay. I know that some of you are seething when you hear me say that, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you seethe, but that's why I tend to avoid, really going in hot and heavy on that topic. And I think that You know, E. Michael Jones is, I like him as a thinker, and he's gutsy and he's bold and all that. But you know, I think there's a case of monomania, perhaps, in someone like him, and in others who maybe fixate on this topic. There's a curious. It's like it has to be all or nothing, right? It has to be the only thing. It has to dwarf everything else, like what Where Eagles Dare says here. And I'm not picking on Where Eagles Dare because I don't know him. I don't know what he actually thinks about things, but it has to just dwarf everything else. Or on the other hand, you have to just be this lickspittle philo-semite. There can't be anything in the middle. I'm in the middle, okay? I'm in the middle on the JQ. Middle of the road is the worst place to drive, as John Nada said famously, and They Live. Okay, a couple more, and then I'm going to bring this to a close, and maybe come back with a part 2, because I don't want to go on too long here. And I actually did get a lot of questions. John Maelstrom says, you spend a lot of time vlogging from your car. Have you considered securing work from home employment and becoming a van life influencer? I haven't considered that, no. Actually, I haven't. But thank you for the suggestion. Jack Darby asks, what do you make of the targeted community? I believe TIs exist. I think there are legitimate, genuine cases of TIs, targeted individuals, people who are just for whatever reason, for various reasons, because they've gotten on the bad side of powerful people who just get just all kinds of crazy and terrible things happen to them, or they get harassed, or what have you. People, different things. People say weird, cryptic stuff to them. People break into their house and move all their furniture around just to mess with them. I believe cases like that really do exist, but it has to be seen on a case-by-case basis, I believe, because there's also probably many people who think their TIs are probably schizophrenic. But the thing about that is, and it's very saddening, there's a lot of crazy people. There are a lot of people who act really crazy, and I believe they act crazy because they've been they've been driven crazy. Like in my video about Britney Spears the other day, she was acting weird, but I think that's not because she's inherently crazy, but I think it's because she was driven crazy by her handlers. And I think it happens to a lot of other people. And it's sad because when you see someone who just looks and acts like a nut, people are not inclined to take that person seriously. But people should be open to the idea that maybe they were driven into that state. Okay. How much does a ticket to meet Andy Chadwicky cost, and where can you purchase one? I don't know. You want to come by bus? You want to? How do you want to do it? It just it just depends on how badly you want it, I guess. Okay. Okay. This will be the last question that I answer this time around. What is your favorite band? Growing up, my favorite band early on was, for a very brief amount of time, it was Men at Work. I think when I first got into music, I liked Men at Work. That was the first album I ever owned, I believe, and I had it on cassette. Of course, this was 1983. I got it as a Christmas present, I think. Business as Usual by Men at Work. The second cassette that I ever owned was The Fix, Reach the Beach. So I was big, but I kind of got over Men at Work, but I was really big on The Fix, and I was big on Duran Duran, early Duran Duran, everything up through 1984 or so, when it was all five of them. After '84, after Arcadia and Power Station happened, and they split apart into different camps, I didn't like their music that much anymore. It was still okay, but they'd really lost a lot, several steps. Starting with 1986's Notorious. So, and then later I would say, I had a long period of time I was very much into the band They Might Be Giants. And to me it seems like They Might Be Giant, I mean, I still like their stuff, and it's, very clever and amusing, and, and everything. Especially Linnell, John Linnell, the skinny one. I think he's the better songwriter of the two by far. Very, very unique sound and everything, even though they were sort of dismissed as a gimmick by some. I think they maybe overstayed their welcome and became sort of gimmicky after a while, and or maybe I just at some point just kind of, I don't know, moved on from them. I was very into. There was a resurgence of music in the early aughts, early to mid aughts, with the Strokes and White Stripes, and especially the Hives. When the Hives came around, when I saw the video for "Hate to Say I Told You So" by the Hives, I was like, wow. And so I was really into the Hives, and the Hives were my new favorite band for a time. I don't know what they've been doing lately. I've been out of the scene a little bit. I guess another band I'd mention is Fountains of Wayne. I think one of the singers died last year. But they were sort of like a more domesticated version of They Might Be Giants. They were more like They Might Be Giants for frat boys or something. Well, that not quite for frat boys, but I don't know. They had a different sort of. They had a more down to earth kind of vibe about them, but there was still the quirkiness, and there was still like the interest in pop hooks and everything. Good question. So those are the bands I would name. I'll if I can think of another one, I'll mention another one. But I'm going to end this first part one. This will be part one of my Q&A, and I think I'll just do one more. I don't want to draw this out too much longer. But I'll bring this to a close right now. Thanks for watching, and please be on the lookout tomorrow, because my new book, The Insurrectionist, is being released tomorrow. Tomorrow is July the 2nd. July 4th weekend, Insurrectionist weekend, so be on the lookout for that release. And thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon.